Yup, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. It all began when I got the idea to make a game that you play with 2 mice. But there are many reasons not to make a game that you play with 2 mice. First of all, Windows doesn't even support multiple mouse inputs. I'm sure Linux might, but I don't have it, and even that doesn't seem too easy. Plus, most people don't even have more than 1 mouse, and if they do, that second one is probably broken. But still, I kinda wanna see what this would be like. Now, the inspiration for this actually comes from an old Nintendo 64 game, Goldeneye. The Nintendo 64 controller looked like this, but Goldeneye is a first-person shooter, so it would work better with 2 joysticks, so they let you do this. That's fascinating, so it made me think, what if? The Switch does something similar with its Joy-Cons, but it's still splitting your controller in half. I wanna see what it would be like when you double the inputs instead. Doubling 2 normal controllers don't make sense because it would look like this, and that's basically a single controller at that point. Unless you have them like Joy-Cons, I guess that could work. It's a similar story with 2 keyboards, because they're quite big, 1 keyboard is already basically 2 keyboards, if that makes sense. But 2 mice? That's weird. You'll be doing this unique hand motion where you move both hands on the table. And Nintendo must have heard my thoughts, because then they announced the Switch to mouse mode. That was a weird coincidence, but I still want to see what I could do with this. But alright, before I started thinking about how to make this work inside the game, I had to find a way to make it work outside the game. I should be a rapper. And if using 2 mice seems cursed, actually implementing it is even more cursed. Like I mentioned, Windows doesn't support this, at all. When you first Google this, it tells you that it's impossible. There's no way. Google it again and it's like, oh sure, you can try this. There are a couple programs that simulate this, but those are mainly used for having 2 cursors on the screen. But I needed to have them as inputs in the game engine rather than just cursors. It's weird, but it's not actually impossible. See, the reason this doesn't really work is because Windows takes data from the mouse device, does some magic, and turns that into usable cursor information, like position and button presses. But there is a way. Windows has something called the raw input API. It lets you access the uncooked information. And the reason I know that is because I cheated. I found this extension for GameMaker made by Yellow Afterlife that did exactly what I wanted to do. It's an extension that uses the raw input API and then some more external code to make it work properly. Normally I would try to figure these things out myself, but this felt a little too much. Someday I would like to learn though. Alright, leaving my dignity at the door, I entered the 2 mouse clubhouse. Immediately here's a problem. I mentioned how Windows did some magic to the mouse input. That magic is what makes it actually usable, it properly places the cursor within the screen. The raw data doesn't care though, it just gives you some numbers, tells you good luck, and you have to cook them yourself. My solution was to basically create 2 cursors myself and then use the raw data to move them around. And that actually worked. One unique problem I discovered was that it's kinda awkward to use 2 different mice at the same time. Like, you get used to it, but it's just a problem I never thought I'd have. That works well enough, but now I had to create a game. I had a couple ideas. My first thought was a game like Beat Saber. It would be called Mouse Saber, which made a lot of sense. But the movement was a bit too finicky for that kind of thing, plus it felt like the scope was too big. The last 2 times I made an experimental game like this, it took over a month, so I want to keep it simple this time. As you might know, I'm also working on this sick multiverse game and I'll be releasing the demo soon, so check that out. The second idea I had for this was a game where you had a slingshot. One mouse would be the slingshot itself and then you would pull and aim with the other mouse. After trying it though, again it felt quite bad. I'm sure those could be done somehow, but what I noticed was that I had the most fun just swinging the cursors around without much precision. And that gave me an idea. A wonderful idea. You remember those flash games about beating things up? Like a computer or a car or just a random dude? What if I did that? Now that felt exciting. As a placeholder, I decided to use whatever this is from the top left corner of my videos. Then I felt the need to add my hands. They're both my left hand by the way, but don't tell anyone. Now all I had to do was add gameplay. First I needed some deformation physics, naturally. I'm sure there's easier ways to do this, but GameMaker lets you draw polygonal shapes with textures, so I'm basically creating this face with 8 triangles. The cool thing about triangles is they're made of points, and the cool thing about points is you can move them, and so I did. You can click and move these corners around. Or you can just punch it, with some sound effects of course. Now if you want to do the opposite of this game and get some permanent brain improvement, check out Brilliant, today's sponsor. Brilliant is great for punching useful information into your head like science and math with interactive courses. I also recently downloaded the mobile app so I can do daily exercises while sitting on a chair. Which is great because it helps you with keeping your daily streak going. I mentioned how I've been doing the science course and I actually began the math course recently, where you start from the basics and build up on that. Plus it's the best kind of math as well, where you get to play with the numbers and see what happens. It's like a mix between school and those really satisfying animations. And if you'd like to try it, you can visit brilliant.org/tvgames or scan this QR code to get a free 30-day trial and get 20% of an annual subscription. Thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. For the punching, I just added these lines to detect the collision. They move with the face, so the hitbox is always correct. The second thing I wanted to do was to calculate the deformation amount. When the face is fine, it would be near 100%, and as it got more and more messed up, it would decrease. I figured I could do this by checking the distances between these points, and the closer they were to equal, the lower the deformation. This could ignore rotation and scaling, because that wouldn't be deformation, technically. But then I realized, this is kinda getting out of hand. I couldn't quite figure out how to calculate that. Like, I'm sure it's possible, but I just wanna make a game about punching, not solve a weird maths problem. That's for a different video. So I ended up doing something simpler. The game now checks how far these points are from their starting position, which would actually be better for gameplay anyway, even if it hurts my ego. But I guess I shouldn't beat myself up over it, get it? Oh, right, the gameplay. I allowed both the punching and the pinching and moving parts, so I wanted to include both somehow. So here's what I did. You start with the punches after the game tells you to beat it. I like that. And after the timer runs out, it tells you to fix it. I really like that. You get some time to put all these points into their original positions within the time. You have to place 8 corners to pass, but if you place all 10 corners, your multiplier increases. Naturally, these timers get shorter over time, so your goal is to get a high score and not fail at the fixing stage. And that's the game. It's called 2 Mouse for You. That's the joke. At least it's better than Pintas. Go play it.